Uh, Hello, my name is Dr. Hossain, and I welcome you all in my mutual friends with Dr. Hossain. It's second season. Today, I have a very exclusive guest with me, Viktor Markopoulos. Most of you have heard his name because of the recent discovery by him that he was able to spot the major data breach in our one of our government website in Bangladesh. So let's welcome Victor Markopoulos, and he is joining with me today. Welcome, Victor.
Hi, hello, Farouk, and everyone's that's listening. Thanks for having me here.
So thanks a lot. Thanks for joining with such short notice, and we are really excited for this session because we have lots of uh, queries, questions, lots of information to ask from you about this great discovery. Because this is one of the important event because we lose or we might have lost lots of our personal data, which is very nowadays during this modern era, who loses his personal information, that means his identity is already stolen. Someone can use his identity for different activities without his consent. So thanks. I would start with a pretty quick introduction from you. If you can briefly tell more about yourself, because most of us we don't know from Bangladesh.
Yeah, that's true. I'm an offensive security engineer. Well, actually, an information security consultant. Um, I do. That means that 80% of my work is penetration tests, meaning that I get to test systems for security breaches, holes, and vulnerabilities. I'm working for a company in South Africa called BitCrack Cybersecurity, and I've been doing this for, well, I mean, officially for full time for the last 2.5 years. But I've always kind of into security, mainly the last 4 years, I'd say. So yeah, I'm like I said, I'm mainly, if not exclusively, doing offensive security.
Great. So let me ask: did you know about Bangladesh before you found this? Like, what was your first impression when you would see that the information was very easy accessible and millions of data are there for our citizens? What was your first impression and impression about the Bangladesh?
You mean the first impression when I discovered the issue?
Yes.
Um, well, to be honest, first I didn't actually believe it. I thought I was misinterpreting things. It wasn't. I thought it was a bit too easy to say. So that's not good for. That's not good though. But yeah, I had to double check, triple check, or quadruple check actually to make sure that this is actually something worth. This is something that I have to report. I was kind of shocked, but then again, there's many breaches nowadays happening, so it was shocking, but at the same time, yet another security issue.
But And uh, I am interested to know about because I am from a background from biology, so I start research on genetics. So this cyber security and all this information is a bit not very close to my study of research. So I'm not maybe familiar with all these technical terms, but I'm curious. Like, can you tell us more about this? Why it is important cybersecurity or data protection for a system like in a server or website or even in the country?
Yeah,
Uh,
so yeah, well, of course, like you want your house to be, I don't know, locked, to have a proper locks, and so that robbers don't get in. That's the same with security and data. You don't want anyone to snipping around your information, your personal identifiable information. And yeah, so it's just similar to this. That's how I always have it in my head. There are also many laws that actually make you to have make companies to be secure. For example, in Europe we have GDPR. In the US there is HIPAA and or PSI, DSS. So so yeah, security is pretty important nowadays, especially with all the cyber activity and all the now that governments are interconnected and companies and everyone's using the internet, of course, for the past 20 years or so. So yeah, cyber security is becoming more and more important as time goes by.
Yeah, but what's your opinion? Who is responsible for protecting this data, or is it only on the government or the authority, or is there anything from our side, like the consumer, like this end user, what we can do to protect our data?
Well, there is well, when a government's elected, there is something like a unofficial contract between government and the people that people rely their trust uh, on their on this government, and the government is responsible to actually securing and being and protecting your data. So yeah, it's actually government's authority, it's government's responsibility to actually um, protect your data, for your citizens' data from any malicious attackers, so to say.
Yeah, when it comes to speak about the government, I heard from the report of TechCrunch that you tried to contact the government of Bangladesh and also CIRT, CRT, who are the responsible for the cyber response team in Bangladesh and other authorities. Can you also share experience, or can you share some more information about your response after you found out the breach?
Yeah, sure. So I tried contacting them. I mean, within the first half hour that I discovered this issue. Um, I didn't get a response from them from like for like a week or so. I sent them many emails for a week. Also, the reporter that I contacted in TechCrunch, he also tried contacting the embassy or in Washington, I think, in New York, and some other entities, but no one responded. After the issue got a bit more publicity, they contacted me and said that the I sent the email through my Proton Mail address, and they said that they are filtering Proton Mail addresses, so that's why they never took this never received the email. I cannot know. I mean, could also be this the case, but I don't know. But after the issue got this attention from everyone, they responded. We also talked. We did a Zoom meeting, and they thanked me. And so, after the attention, they were very welcoming, and they actually told me if I uncover anything similar, I should email them and let them know. So that was really good from them, but it would be better if they responded in the first place, when I sent them the email.
Well, but this sounds a bit strange to me. Like, if we want to, let's say, if some emergency is there and you want to make a phone call to 911 or 999 to, or some emergency responders to inform the case, and if it doesn't reach there on time, then
Yeah,
I mean, this is not a proper way of respond. I would say I
yeah,
am
I know. It was weird for me too.
because this filtering of proton mail, it cannot be good. explanation from my point of view.
Yeah,
So
I'm agreeing to this actually. I don't know why, but it is what it is, I guess.
yeah, so but the good point is it's now already sorted. As far
Yeah.
we know that this website of the register of the birth and death registration, their department they already I think stopped or they down regulated this server. So that's why I heard also the service for the citizens is now a bit not smooth because it's now not online anymore, which is I heard. I might be wrong. I would like to,
The server is still up, but they fixed the issue. Like there, you cannot access the data without if you're not allowed to.
yeah, okay, so about the issue, I'll come back to you. Let me quickly ask the audience. I saw one comment that appeared on YouTube actually. The someone with a happy journey said, "Do you think there is a need for more awareness and education about cybersecurity in Bangladesh?" Yeah,
Um, I don't. I mean, sure. There's always for not only for Bangladesh for any entity, even if that's another country or company. There's always room for improvement for everyone. I don't know the how the Bangladesh. I've never been to Bangladesh. I haven't, except for this issue, for this case. I've never even worked for anyone there, or I don't know. So I cannot say for sure, but from what I saw, there is definitely some room for improvement, not only in the security itself, but also in the way that these things are being handled, like the response and how quick people are in their reflexes when something like this happens. And of course, I've heard. Actually, no, I've heard of Bangladesh, of course, because of the bank heist from North Koreans. So yes, there's definitely room for improvement. Uh, yeah.
yeah. You just pointed one interesting topic, which is also not a very good record from our country. I'm coming back to that point about this heist from the central bank. Uh, Before I do that, I let me speak with the audience in Bengali.
Yeah, of course.
So আপনারা যারা দেখছেন আমাদের এই এপিসোডটি, ভিক্টর মার্কোপোলোস ও বিটক্র্যাক সাইবার সিকিউরিটি লিমিটেডের একজন ইনফরমেশন কনসালটেন্ট, ও এখন আমার সাথে আছে। আমরা কথা বলছি বাংলাদেশের রিসেন্ট যেই তথ্য ফাঁসের ঘটনা এটার ব্যাপারে। আপনারা যদি আরো জানতে চান ওর সাথে, আরো আপনাদের কোশ্চেন থাকে কোনো কিছু, অবশ্যই কমেন্ট করেন। আমরা সবগুলা কোশ্চেন কভার করার চেষ্টা করব। আর আরো বন্ধুদের সাথে বা অন্যদের সাথে যদি আপনি শেয়ার করতে চান, সেক্ষেত্রে আপনি লাইভটা শেয়ার করতে পারেন, তাহলে আমরা অনেক বেশি অডিয়েন্সের কাছে রিচ করতে পারবো। Now I am coming back to Victor about this heist story. I think you are aware of this heist in 2016.
Yeah.
Uh, there was heist from our central bank for several times during one long weekend, and we lost lots of money. And even this was let's say they could actually figure it out. They were aware because of one specific spelling mistake, which is really funny. Instead
Yeah.
of this foundation, they made a spelling mistake and printing didn't work. So in short, so this is I don't understand why we know about our lackings or our security system is so weak, we lose money and we don't know this immediately. And after some time, if some technical journals or cybersecurity journals they approach, they say that, oh, you lost your money, or your site is weak, or you are losing your data. This is something not I don't understand why we can't find it out by ourselves, why someone else is pointing it out. What is your opinion about it?
Yeah. Well, it's usually this case. I mean, also for other companies or governments, people outside of this government actually found out about breaches. But I don't know. I don't know how the security or cybersecurity is in Bangladesh in general. But generally, I think it's really important to have so to say, a specific team. Like for example, I read about the Bangladesh team, the CERT, the team that I contacted as well, which is a good initiative, of course, to have a specific team dedicated to cybersecurity. Now, I mean, if they're doing their job correct, that's another story. But to have it to having to be for this team to exist, it's a first step, of course. And yeah, I don't know if back then there was this team or if there was any measures taken generally for cybersecurity. Of course, it was back then. This was a sophisticated attack, so it was there were people behind this much better than me, of course, and there were state actors. So that means that it's hard to repel them, but definitely it is worth to have a specific team and a dedicated plan for such incidents or generally for the cybersecurity posture of the government.
Yeah, but you said it's general, and also our SAR team, they are actually working very nice. They actually informed if, in advance that this website which was showing this information, they actually informed it in advance that there is some weakness. It has to be fixed. So the report was there before, but I think the correct or appropriate action was not taken. That's why it took a while to figure it out in that way. Can you tell us a bit more about what was actually the security issue with this website, or was it only the website or the way it makes communication with the customers? What was the issue actually over there?
Yeah, so the issue was that there was a system behind the website that's called API, which was used to transfer data from one application to another, or just to present it. Yeah, actually, that's what APIs are for, to transfer data. And the issue was that anyone could access this. There was no authentication mechanisms enforced that would prevent someone to access it, someone that's not allowed to. So yeah, the issue was that anyone on the internet that knew the URL could visit it and view all the data. Which is, to be honest, it is the there is a security best practices, or no, there's a security top 10 like vulnerabilities in those kind of technologies APIs, and this is the number one. It has the first spot as the number one issue in such systems. It's the lack of authentication and authorization mechanisms.
So I interrupt. This is, do you think, due to the design of the whole system, how it communicates with the website, or how long do you think this data was open? Like, or is it since the beginning of the website, or this
Uh,
communication?
could
Or
could be could be anything. Probably from the beginning, must say. But I don't know. There's unless there was some improvements being done in the system and something happened between the after the development between the development and the and push to the production. Unless there was something there that was changed and resulted in this issue, I would say probably it's from the beginning, but that's definitely for the developers and the cert to know.
mm, I received some questions in advance while I was making these advertisements, so I can actually point some of them. One was if you can use some sort of VPN network to protect the internet, how likely it is, how helpful it is if you are thinking of your personal. I'm not talking about any government websites. I'm just saying about some local business website, let's say, or some small scale data. Is it a good option if you use a VPN service to protect from any sort of cyber threat? It's a question from
Um,
audience.
you mean from the company's point of view?
Yes.
Um, well, VPNs are mostly used from end users to hide their origin, their IP, and gain some privacy. I don't know how VPN would help in the case of protecting data. Um, no, the most important thing that you can do is have some security awareness and writing secure code, follow security best practices, and generally have a mindset around security.
Yep, I see one message from Moshumi Akhtar. She wrote in Bengali. I read it in Bengali first. তথ্য চুরি হলে আমাদের কি ধরনের ক্ষতি হতে পারে? So basically, she's asking what could be wrong if we lose our personal data. What are the problems?
Okay.
So
Yeah, I mean, apart from the fact that it's just not pleasant for anyone's data to be out there without their permission, um, depends on how things are run in the country. For example, could be from identity theft if you have a person's ID number. To the first thing that came to my mind when I found the issue was the impersonation of, for example, let's say I have the telephone number of someone that had someone registered in the system, and I call them and I tell them, hey, it's random name from the birth and death registration office, and there was something wrong with the transaction. If you can just send the money to this account, like phishing or any sort of scam. So that's the first thing that came to my mind because I don't know how bureaucracy works in Bangladesh, so I don't know what one can do with a person's number, ID number. But yeah, so goes a long way.
I can enlighten you a bit more about how our personal data is being used. Normally, we in our country we all have our national ID card, and it was prepared this huge database like more than 14 years ago. Now, most of the people of more than 18 years of age have this national identity card with them, and all this information. Of course, you have seen some of this, which was in the birth and death registration website. So this ID card is being used everywhere in the country. Even nowadays, if someone wants to buy a train ticket, they also need there to show their ID. And whenever you are buying any phone contract or any SIM card or any opening a bank account and all these major services, of course, we have to use our ID card. But there are some cases, there Bangladesh is a very populated country and lots of people are there. They they don't get all this opportunity to access all this information properly, and sometimes some misinformation are there. And if someone wants to buy a SIM card and they don't have time to uh, come back with their ID,
Uh,
there are always some backup IDs from the agent, and they just put
uh,
someone's name and sell the
oh, I
SIM.
see. Yeah.
So this is how several times also this is the case that. is happening, that you someone is using a cell phone or SIM contract with different person's name, and whenever you are going somewhere, they are asking, okay, bring your ID, make a photocopy, and you are making photocopy, and the photocopy maker is making multiple copies, keeping some on the back, and
Oh, I
for
see.
certain banks they are using. So this is in root level there are some evidence like this, but I'm not saying it in general everywhere it's happening, but there are some cases. So I think people are not really aware of their personal data, especially place and name of place of birth and date of birth, and all these basics. So this is also a bit challenging to educate them how or why it is important. If someone gives my ID, I'm not losing anything immediately because I don't see my loss.
Well,
But
yeah, immediately not, but in the long run, or in
I,
the you know, many things can happen with someone's personal ID number. So yeah, immediately you don't lose any money, but in the future you don't know. Not only money, of course.
this is why this I think, as I said, not every most of people are not actually aware of this
Yeah,
situation. Um, so I see one more message from Bilal on Facebook. He writes some messaging apps claim that the conversation is end-to-end encrypted, and how trustworthy these claims are. So this is the question to Victor.
yeah. So well, in my personal, I mean, the way I'm thinking is that you can never be too sure. Of course, many companies undergo checks from independent authorities to ensure that what they say is actually true. But in the end, you can never really know. The one thing that I like about, for example, there is Signal, if you know this messaging app, is it's open source, so it means you yourself can even check the code and see if it's trustworthy. And yeah, the only way you can know if it's true or not it is for you to actually check it out, check the code, like I said in Signal. So that's the way I'm thinking. Maybe I'm a bit paranoid, who knows? But that's the only way that you can be 100% sure that uh, that it is really end-to-end encrypted.
Okay, I speak so to Bangladeshi audience. আপনাদের যদি কোনো কোশ্চেন থাকে ভিক্টরের কাছে অবশ্যই কমেন্ট করুন। আমি চেষ্টা করব ওর সাথে এইসব বিষয়গুলো নিয়ে আলোচনা করার জন্য। অবশ্যই আপনাদের বন্ধু-বান্ধবদের সাথে শেয়ার করতে পারেন। আরো কোনো তথ্য জানা থাকলে কমেন্ট করেন। আ আর এই তো আ আমরা কথা বলছি ভিক্টর মার্কোপোলোসের সাথে। ও এখন গ্রিস থেকে আমাদের সাথে লাইভে যুক্ত আছে। So, Victor, I don't know if you have heard the recent news, because yesterday I saw it in one newspaper in Daily Star, which is a renowned daily national daily in our country. They reported that Bangladesh got one threat for the cyber attack on 15th of August. It was actually a press release from the CERT. They made all the others aware that one group has been trying to make a cyber attack on 15th of August. Um,
Of August, you mean July or?
so in 10 days, so they announced it in advance that they are going to attack lots of Bangladeshi
Okay,
websites. So this is a press release by the CERT, so you can also have a look. So it's a
okay,
news
yeah,
yesterday.
that's interesting. Yeah, I've never actually heard of someone letting know their customers, or the citizens, that something is about to happen. But I guess that's also a way to, maybe this discourages the actual attackers from doing it. I don't know what, but it's interesting. I'll definitely check it out.
Yeah, it's also interesting because they are announcing in advance that okay, we are coming to attack your sites.
Yeah.
But this is not the first time. It happened several times also before. There was several attacks in, if I remember correct, there was attack on our airlines company website, and there was issue of also they had to cancel lots of flights. And I think because of this lots of lacking of security in our country or our websites, and not only us but also several other countries have been affected by these threats and also all of these attacks. So, what's your opinion, or what do you think? Why these countries are getting affected again and again, and not to the developed countries like Europe, American countries? There are also attacks over there, but I see those developing countries are getting affected more.
Yeah,
Is
that's what I was about to say. Every country is being targeted, but the thing is that countries in Europe or the US, they actually have some security awareness, some background, some dedication to it. From what I hear, Bangladesh being often it has been often it's often been targeted and successfully also. So that maybe means that there is definitely a lot of improvement. Maybe yeah, systems are not very secure. So yeah, security is not always the first thing that people or governments actually have in mind. Actually, cybersecurity, not security in general. Cybersecurity is something that countries are still trying to catch up to it. Developed countries they have some good standard, but developing countries they still trying to reach a good level. So yeah, I guess it's not always a priority, but I think it should be.
okay. What do you suggest if there is one attack is there, and how to respond immediately, or how to deal with that situation?
Yeah, so well, the first thing you do is you actually run a investigation. We in cybersecurity terms we call it incident response, where you actually it's like being a detective, but in cybersecurity, where actually you try to see where the data were, what data were accessed, how they were accessed, who accessed them. It's like running an investigation. And one important thing also is to be open and clear and be public about it and have a honest and open communication with the affected people, even if that's just companies, clients or citizens, whatever. It is important to have a to show that you're trustworthy.
Well, but I informed also you before that why the security is not balanced, because these are technical terms. So if we can apply this in more developed countries, but why we can't apply the same security level for these least developed countries or developing countries? What are the lackings of the security measures? Why we can't apply
Yeah,
similarly?
I imagine it's yeah, it's mostly about I'm sorry, something. I have some notes here, but yeah, I don't know. It's it's mostly, I guess, it's not a priority in many developing countries, and I get that there are some things that should be more important, like actually the level of the how people actually live, and not how their data are being handled in uh, on the internet. But yeah, could be many things. Could be budget allocation that's being wrong. It's been not being properly allocated. Untrained people also, because cybersecurity is a very like not luxurious, but I'd say it's it's something that that not many companies or not many governments that can actually afford. So yeah, it's something that also doesn't come easy to companies. But yeah, maybe I guess it's not. It's just not. The governments should be more invested in this part of the of how they actually govern their citizens. You know, um, to
Mm,
protect their data.
yeah, this is, I think, a responsibility for not only the government but also the end user and all these developers. Everyone has something to do. For instance, in our case, those who are not developed properly in their countries, I mean, these developing countries, they also the technical expertise are not also available over there because what we see, those who are very expert in especially IT and all these technical development sites, they are being offered very good position in Europe and American countries. So they try to move out of the countries, and then we
Yeah,
don't get lots of expertise in our country as well.
yeah. They don't
We
offer
have,
much. They don't
I think,
offer much. Prospects. You know, if
yeah,
someone's trying to learn cybersecurity, they don't see much of a
and
future in developing countries.
yeah, the thing is, in our country, if you have known that it has been trying to become a digital country for several years, so government and all these other small companies, authorities, they have been trying to make everything digital without paper and to function more electronically. But I think for this is one challenge also to protect this information and give proper security if
Yeah,
we want to go paperless and go for digital activity.
exactly.
Yeah, we are very close to our podcast today. আমি আবারও দর্শকদেরকে বলবো যে আপনারা যদি কোনো প্রশ্ন থাকে বা কমেন্ট থাকে আপনারা লিখে জানাতে পারেন। আমি আরো একটা কোশ্চেন পেয়েছি ফিরোজের কাছ থেকে। So I have seen one more message from Firoz, but I think you already answered that. Use a VPN. So দর্শকদেরকে বলবো যে আপনারা যদি কোনো কোশ্চেন থাকে ভিক্টরের কাছে সাইবার সিকিউরিটি এবং তথ্য ডাটা প্রোটেকশনের ব্যাপারে অবশ্যই লিখে জানাতে পারেন। আর মিউচুয়াল ফ্রেন্ডস উইথ ডক্টর হোসেনের পরবর্তী এপিসোডগুলো দেখার জন্য ফলো করবেন ডক্টর হোসেন পেজে। So, Victor, I have one very last question. It's about the social awareness. You already mentioned about it. If you want to say about your, let's say, how do you think that this social awareness can be increased, or we can do, or we can aware more of our general population, those who are not using lots of electronic device, and also not everyone is actually aware of this cyber security, as I said already, that they are not even aware of their data
Yeah.
importance. So if you want to say something to those citizens of the nation.
Uh, yeah. So even if someone's not very familiar with the with technology or electronic devices or anything, the most basic thing that I can say is always be skeptical about things and how things are handled, or even the most easy thing, like for example, being careful as to what links you click on, what websites you visit, where you put your data to. Uh, the whole gist of security is just can be just concluded in, of course, at least in my opinion, can be included in uh, one phrase, and that's just always be skeptical as to what you're doing with in the online world, because it can be awesome, but it also can be cruel.
Yep, I just found one note I forgot to ask. Maybe I can quickly ask another one about
Sure.
this use of pirated software. So this is one of the case actually happening broadly in the country.
Yeah.
Lots of pirated softwares are there because it's very easy to find, very less money to invest. And do you think this is also one reason of our security threat? If this use of this pirated software, how does it affect one's data?
Um, well, it's just the source of the pirated software. I mean, I've seen many software that advertise themselves as a official pirated software of, let's say, Windows, but in the end, it's just malware, like malicious software. So, like I said, in the internet there are many people that are malicious. So just it's just much more it's just much more worth it to spend some more money on on a software and just be sure that your data is safe, or be almost sure that your data is safe, and not just risk it to just spare some money.
Yeah, if I share my experience,
Yeah,
because at the school or at the university, when we start using computer, we need Windows or other operating systems. Every softwares you can, of course, you pay online, you can buy, but it's it's so available that you you just pick any. It's very easy
yeah,
to find this type of pirated software, and it's cheap, and you can buy almost, or you can get almost every software which is
yeah.
pirated. And I found whenever I had one computer with that type of software, and every time we had issues, the computer is not working, it's slow, some virus is affecting the computer, so this malware is actually being affected. And so everyone is suffering, but still it's so easy to find those. And in our market, these pirated softwares are there. And I see one news from Daily Star. They reported that the piracy rate in the country for this software was 92% in 2009.
That's a lot.
That's a lot, yes, in 2009, but this is the report. But now I don't know recent, but I think now people are getting more aware of this, because, and they don't want to lose their data just because of a small virus is affecting their computer.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, also, just now I came, I found another question about the phishing emails that we receive time to time.
Yeah.
How to deal with it, or if you give some advice, and then we can
Um,
session.
well, always check with the source who's sending this email, the link that you're clicking, if it's a secure website, and you can tell which websites are secure by you have to carefully. Sometimes you have to carefully inspect the URL to see where this website actually takes you, and also, for example, let's say banks don't usually ask for your credentials. So if you receive a phishing email, that's a bank, and it says uh, put there your credentials, then that's a scam. That's a phishing email. So like I said earlier, just be always skeptical and thorough when you think that even there is a slight possibility that something is not what it looks like to be.
Okay, I think our audience will be more aware of this. And
Yeah.
yeah, I we are very at the end of our podcast, so I want to ask you one last, or I want to know your comment about after the data breach. Did you receive any emails or any appreciation from the government about your contribution, or
Uh, Yes, we had also a Zoom meeting where they thanked me again. They sent me an email with and they sent me also a letter of appreciation, which I appreciate. It's a nice gesture. And they also told me if I find anything else, I should let them know, which means that they actually they truly appreciated my report. So yeah, it was nice of them. I'd say.
Okay, thanks. And I would like to again thank you from on behalf of all these Bangladeshi citizens that you
Yeah,
protected our data, you
thank
reported it
you.
to the proper authority immediately. So that's why our data, I believe, is not to the hacker site. um,
Yeah,
I hope.
I hope also hope so.
And yeah, I would like to thank you again and have a nice
Yeah,
weekend. And we
yeah.
also,
You
I
too. Thanks.
invite you to visit Bangladesh if you can manage some time to make a trip over there. And of
Sure, why
course,
not?
I invited you to visit Germany uh,
Yeah.
in Greifswald. We'll see you here
Yes, I
inshallah.
can definitely arrange that sometime.
Great, it would be very nice. So I would like to thank all the audience and the all those who made comments and also sent me questions in advance. Thank you all. And আমি আবারও সবাইকে ধন্যবাদ জানাচ্ছি আপনাদের সবাইকে এই অনুষ্ঠানে থাকার জন্য। আমি চেষ্টা করেছি ভিক্টরের কাছ থেকে কিছু আহ, তথ্য জানার জন্য, যেটা আমাদের সাইবার সিকিউরিটিকে কিভাবে উন্নত রাখা যায় বা আমরা কিভাবে আমাদের তথ্য প্রোটেক্ট করতে পারি, এই বিষয়গুলো জানার চেষ্টা করেছি। আগামী পর্বে আমরা আবারও চেষ্টা করব একজন নতুন অতিথির সাথে কথা বলার জন্য, আমাদের দেশের অন্য কোনো মেজর ইস্যু নিয়ে আমাদের যেটা আমাদের সামাজিক সচেতনতা বাড়াতে সাহায্য করবে, এই ধরনের বিষয় নিয়ে আমরা আলোচনা করব। আপনাদেরও যদি কোনো আইডিয়া থাকে বা সাজেশন থাকে যে কোন বিষয়ে আমি পরবর্তী পডকাস্ট করব, অবশ্যই আমাকে কমেন্ট বক্সে জানাবেন। আর আমি এই বলে আজকের পডকাস্ট এখানে শেষ করছি। আপনারা সবাই ভালো থাকেন, সুস্থ থাকেন। So thank you all, and I thank Victor again.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
my pleasure.